It's that time of the year again, to conclude my case videos with a bang, the tier list. And this year, more minimal than this one. It also has one slide. I've seen even more cases than last year, so I'm going to be a little shorter on each brand, otherwise this video will be over 40 minutes. If you do want to see every detail though, be sure to check out my dedicated videos. First brand we look at today is Rokform. These cases are awesome. Yet they felt like they were downgraded a little this year. The whole shtick with this case was of course the awesome MagSafe strength. And don't get me wrong, they're still fine, but just not as strong anymore. Regular case, and you can really feel that. Now they have the Max. They still have that extra magnet beneath it too, which will give you more than enough strength. Just not special anymore. But then, the magnet beneath will redirect your accessories, which can be very annoying. What's left is some good looking bulky case that fits around the phone nicely. Reminds me a lot of the old UAG look. I would go for the clear case version if I had to choose, because the aramid fiber just doesn't look as cool. Buttons are very clicky, but it's not changing my opinion. Sadly, they did not feature any action button cover here, so I'll give it a solid C tier. Casetify is next, and oh boy do we have something to talk about. I've always liked their cases, but they are extremely expensive. They are very good though, as in strength. These are still the strongest cases I've had my hands on. MagSafe is good, they had clicky buttons, but no action button cover though. And that impact case I reviewed with that camera bump stand is pretty cool, not gonna lie. But after I posted my review, it came to light how they stole designs from Dbrand, which is overall a crappy thing to do. I've also been receiving a lot of complaints on the fact that their designs wear out fast too, as in fade over time, or peel off. That, in combination with their return policy, which is only 10 days after receiving the item, and I'll have to pay for returns myself, you've lost me. It's also funny to me that some other YouTubers that got paid big time for their videos still defend them. Follow the money. Good case or no, that's not something I can recommend any longer. D tier as far as the cases itself go, and I want to be as objective as possible, but if their service is included in my judgment, F tier. Ghostek, you're next. Awesome designs. I really like the Atomic Slim on the S23 Ultra. Sadly though, on the iPhone, they changed their design and elevated the backplate so that the edges aren't as out there anymore. I honestly love that and feel like now they don't have the unique aspect. There's also the fact that the camera bump blocks certain MagSafe accessories because it's angled downwards. The aluminium on the sides still feel awesome though. They also improved things. On the S23 Ultra, the buttons were very hard to click, and here they are very tactile. Now I would put these in C tier, because now it lacks originality. They also have the covert. This one has a huge camera bump. TPU sides, so no aluminium, clicky buttons and a grippy pattern on the side. The camera bump also blocks MagSafe accessories, but not all. E tier. The X-Hack is pretty cool. Very good fit, awesome MagSafe, soft feeling silicone material and a lot of corner protection. The feeling of this case in the hand is unmatched due to the slide rounding on the back moving towards the edges. Features MagnaLink, but it also has MagSafe like I said. So you can use both if MagnaLink is something you like. I like the included wallet, magnetic closing and looks sleek on the case. C tier. The Nautical Slim didn't really work for me. The fit wasn't good and it didn't work with my screen protector. I also fail to see the benefit of a slim case if you want all-round protection. With these, you should go full bulky or find another case. So the Slim goes to F tier for me. And that's the first official F tier, but certainly not the last. The regular Nautical though fits perfectly fine. Good MagSafe and the installation process was fairly easy. 2 front bezels and aggressive corner protection. Overall, the ultimate bulky all-round waterproof case. Still, they should have made a button for the action button instead of a transparent seal. B tier. Then Caudabe. I purchased all of their cases. When testing out these cases, I grabbed the veil first, and it immediately destroyed my expectations. Luckily though, it got restored along the way with the synthesis and the sheath. If you have watched my dedicated video, you'll know why. I don't want to talk about the veil anymore, instant F tier. Moving on to the sheath, it feels premium, yet not as refined as I would have hoped. It still has sharp edges here and there. The inner has a soft feeling material with shock absorption, so you can kind of push it in. The fit could be better though. Caudabe responded on my video stating that they wanted to be a snugger fit than most because they heard horror stories about phones falling out of the case, and I'm sure there is an audience for that. Never happened to me though. And I'll trade that 2% extra security for a case that gets off the phone easily. Nevertheless, the case feels good. It obviously has that extra grippy material, and they left it off at the bottom, which is awesome. Because like I always say, that's where your pinky finger supports the phone. And if the texture is there too, you won't think of it as comfortable over time. The buttons aren't as clicky as I would have hoped and require a lot more effort than on the iPhone itself. Now, while this is a minimalist case, the camera bump could be a little better too. Still, I'll give it a D tier. The synthesis though, I like more. The sides are very grippy due to the dotted pattern. The case also feels very strong, on par with Casetify. And like I already mentioned, those are very strong. Buttons are still not as clicky as I would have hoped though. And the fit is exactly the same as with the sheath. It has similar yet different texture than with the sheath, but I like this one better. Sadly though, they chose to keep that texture at the bottom here, and I'm not really sure why. But it makes for a less comfortable long-term rating. I like the camera bump design though, so they are definitely unique on that part. Overall, I like the synthesis the best, just not by a lot. C tier. Moving on to the Nomad. I love the rugged cases. They come in a few colors, but obviously the orange one stands out the most. The edge is higher than the backplate, which is what I expected from the Ghostek Atomic Slim. But I got it delivered by Nomad this year. And I love them for it. Extremely good grip, very, and I mean very good drop protection. I actually dropped my phone really hard while getting into my car with this case on, and it bounced around like it was nothing. Not even a scratch on the case at all. And if you've ever dropped your phone, you will know that that can really mess up your case with the slightest drop. I like the details on this case too. And because it's slimmed down where you grab the phone, it doesn't feel bulky either. We've got our first S tier. The sport case isn't far behind. It has one of the best comfortable feeling sides, and the rounded plastic on the back makes for an excellent combination. Still, the fingerprint mess you will get because of it, I dislike. Therefore, I would always go with the rugged, but I won't rule out the sport case. It's still its smaller brother. B tier. The leather case looks and feels awesome. Has the removable magnetic closing, but yet covers up the MagSafe while you use it. They should have just moved this clasp to the front and be done with that issue, since they've had this issue for a while now. The inner case is pretty much the sport case, but without the plastic. The leather feels top notch though. B tier. Then the Arc Pulse, and oh boy, these are controversial. Yet I do like them. They slide on the top and the bottom, so it isn't a one-piece design like most cases. You'd think they slide right off, but they don't. They are really tight. It's made of aluminium and they look very premium too. The camera bump is more than enough, and it looks as if it will be enough to defend your iPhone. Even though I haven't drop tested these yet, as I'm kind of afraid. It certainly looks the part. This will make you feel like there isn't any better minimalist case out there. It really complements the iPhone. On the inside, there isn't a trace of any shock absorption though, only the rubber, which is probably there for anti-slip purpose. So like most of these thin/sleek cases, You will always trade a little safety for the aesthetics, and at that, it's very good. A tier. Another aesthetically pleasing case is the 12 South BookBook. This bookcase is literally a book, and I think it looks awesome. Not for everybody though, just like the previous case. You can take the inner case out of the bookcase, which is always handy when navigation is needed, for example. Or if you just want to go minimal. It has more than enough spots for cards and cash, and even one place where you can slide up the card for easy access. When you have this case in your hand, you can really appreciate the premium feeling materials. The magnetic clasp is very snappy, yet the buttons miss a good click. So there's positives and negatives. One big positive though is the fact that you can use the outer shell as a kickstand too, to watch some YouTube videos while you're at lunch. And if you're in the market for an awesome bookcase, search no further. I really think this is the best bookcase there is, by far. S tier. Spigen is one of those hit or miss brands. I love them when they do it right, but I can really dislike them if they don't. I checked all of them out this year, and let's get this over with. The eye-catching C1s really had my attention when they came out. They still look awesome, especially because it has that depth to it. Normally it would just be a printed picture, but here it's actual parts that's just awesome to see. Sadly though, the case is just very hard to remove.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine.
It even has a two-piece design that really melts the iPhone and the case together. So if you want a case to never remove until you sell it, this one is definitely for you. Now, I've joked around about its fit as a standard of how bad it can get, and it's still pretty funny. But me personally, I can never use a case that's that hard to get off the phone, no matter how good they look. E tier. Core armor is next. The fit is excellent, and I like the design on the back, which makes it a lot more grippier. Sadly, the camera bump is really small, which I dislike. Its design is also very blocky, straight edges, and the material is sharp at these very same edges. Not comfortable. They also did not remove the grippy material at the bottom, so that's another negative. MagSafe strength is good though, so it's definitely not all bad. D tier. Then we have the Mag armor, which features tactile buttons, a good front protection, and a slight rounding which makes it comfortable to hold. But the design definitely looks better on the renders. In real life, it's just not as cool. E tier. The Enzo Aramid is the best Spigen case I've ever had my hands on. It feels premium, has a nice look to it, the shiny silver details look gorgeous with that Aramid fiber, and it's also very comfortable to hold. The inner features a premium cloth finish, and it clicks on the phone very swiftly. Easy A tier. Then the Ultra Hybrid 01. On the S23 Ultra, it was a better case. Not sure why the fit is what it is now, but it's just not good in comparison. The design is still the same though. With those beautiful blacked out silicone edges, it's grippy alright. Good front protection, nice tactile buttons, good magnet strength, and overall a pretty decent case. D tier. Finally, the cases that are under the legacy category. The Tough Armor, Ultra Hybrid, Rugged Armor, and the Slim Armor. They slap around the phone nicely and are overall pretty good cases for the price point where they are sold for. But the Slim Armor feels cheap. The sliding system that's made for cards can be broken very easily. The protection level therefore is nothing special, and I feel like your money could be spent better, like I mentioned in my dedicated video. F tier. The Tough Armor has a rugged feeling, feels strong with soft bulky edges, but then the kickstand, which looks like it's its main selling point, is very weak. So much so that it's laughable really, so you shouldn't really buy these for the kickstand. I have much better examples. The case itself is fine though, if you like the design. E tier. The regular Ultra Hybrid is exactly the same as the 01, but without the design on the back. The main reason why this one will score lower is the fact that the sides aren't blacked out, which means they will yellow over time since they're soft silicone. E tier. The Rugged Armor is probably the best of the legacy cases. It feels nice in the hand, has a good fit, and other than the small camera bump, no complaints. Still, I think for the money, you can get much better cases. E tier. Benks is up next, And these are exactly what I mean when I say you could do better for the money. Let's start off with the Armor Air, the very minimal, ultra thin aramid fiber case, with the best fit out there. I've already talked about this in the aramid fiber case comparison video, but the Pitaka one is very difficult to install. The Benks Armor Air is much easier due to the relief point at each corner. The camera bump is also much better and is made from aluminium and therefore feels much more premium. MagSafe strength is very good. This case definitely belongs in A tier. The Armor Pro is the bigger brother, more bulky case, with very, and I mean very clicky buttons. Same camera bump with an even better refined feel. And even though pretty much everything is perfect, there is always some feedback. In this case, it's the fact that the buttons are a little loose, and sometimes it can look a little crooked when they're off just so slightly. Magnet strength is very good, even better than with the Armor Air, and therefore I can safely put this one into S tier. Finally, the old trusted Benks Maglab Mist. Firstly, it looks good on every color iPhone since the back is just a blurred one, and it will still show the color coming through. It's not as grippy as some other cases though, so if that's something you need, you may need to look elsewhere. Great fit, awesome front protection, and the price point is unbeatable at only 18 USD. Solid A tier. Dbrand with their grip case and the new and highly anticipated Ghost Clear case. The grip case is more of the same, and in their case, this is good news. No brand new additions, don't replace what works. The grip case is obviously very grippy. Sadly though, the material is also present at the bottom. Good MagSafe, good front protection, and the camera bump has been done in a unique way, being that they went with this swelling instead of the camera bump. The camera bump is there, but it's really not needed anymore, since the back is so much thicker now. I dislike the power button, which should be done just like the volume buttons, with that pattern they got going on. The skins though, I'm not a big fan. They aren't durable, and the last time I tried it, my skin was damaged within a week. And of course, once damaged, the sticker will peel off more and more, until 3 weeks later it was already unusable. D tier. The Ghost case was surprising. When I saw the first video on it, I was ready to cancel my order. But I went with it anyway and actually really liked it. They only need to fix the fit, since it's still very tight and almost impossible to remove. The sides go all around the case, which makes the clear case feel grippy. But the buttons are in these same sides, making them less clearly visible, and the texture on them doesn't help to distinguish them either. Even though hard to find, they are tactile. The front bezel is equally good on every side, so no swelling going on here. And the camera bump is good enough too. Even though MagSafe on the back looks fancy, it's just regular MagSafe magnets and they work fine. One of the best clear cases out there. B tier. Mous cases are next, and these are always different each year, which makes me excited to try them out, because you never know what you're going to get. The iridescent clear case still looks stunning, but on my natural titanium color iPhone, it's just not as out there as with the black iPhone. Now, that's not the case's fault though, and where I complained last year with the edge that wasn't comfortable, this year it's much better. You can still feel it, but it's not as annoying anymore. It has very aggressive front swelling, but only at the top and bottom, which makes swiping from side to side much easier. The camera bump has a unique design, and MagSafe belongs in the better than average category. This is one of the cases where you know you don't have to worry about dropping it. Really like this case this year. A tier. The clarity comes in all different versions, but it only changes the backplate material. I still like the soft fabric the best, and there is no noticeable edge here. So all are very comfortable, with tactile buttons and an awesome fit. The grip is increased due to the sides, but I'll say that they aren't as grippy as I like. C tier. Then the Rebel case. Awesome case. Very unique with the colors and especially that grippy side, with that cool pattern. The inside looks very premium too, with their design and the soft cloth finish. They also feature one of the best and comfortable to press buttons on a case ever, thus so far so good. Yet the case feels like it's not as refined as I would have hoped, due to the front corner protection, which feels sharp and unrefined. So each time you want to take off the case, these push into your hand, and it's not comfortable. And to make things worse, they have these on the back as well. They should really polish these up, and the case would have been perfect. Maybe in the next version. D tier. Smartish. I love this brand. The Gripzilla is still one of my favorites. The grip on the Gripzilla is fantastic, with their pistol grip design on the sides. It looks awesome because of it. Good fit, clicky buttons, and awesome corner protection too. So this is definitely one of those cases where you won't ever have to worry about dropping it. It has a rubbery inner, and the texture on the back gives a nice contrast to the grippy sides. Much like the grip case from Dbrand. But unlike the grip case, the Gripzilla is easy to put in your jeans pocket since it's not that extremely grippy material that sticks to everything in its path. MagSafe is also good here, by the way. B tier. The Grip Monk is very similar, with less prominent grippy texture, less prominent pistol grips on the sides, but does feature a soft cloth inner. I do very much like the Grip Monk too, and it's less of a bulky case because of the smooth out corners and less out there design. B tier. Finally, the Wallet Slayer. This one doesn't feature MagSafe, and because of that, it doesn't really compete to the other cases in the same way. It's still a fun case, but for a different time, or for people that still don't care about MagSafe. Since there are cases that feature both a wallet design and MagSafe, this one will be irrelevant over time. E tier. Otterbox cases. These have been improved this year. Let's start off with the Defenders, the XT and the regular one. These are relatively easy to get on the phone. Of course, less so than the regular cases, but these two have a 2 or 3 part system, so the protection level is definitely improved over the regular cases. So the Defender is definitely the bigger brother, but either are very rugged. Because the XT comes with MagSafe, I'll put that one in B tier. The regular Defender goes to C tier. The Otter Grip definitely surprised me. They had that pop socket collab a while ago and probably thought, well, we can do that too. And it worked out. It's actually a really comfortable addition. Good thick front bezel, and the magnets are really strong. But due to the tiny camera bump, B tier. The Symmetry case. This one has all the good stuff like the Other Grip, but the buttons aren't as clicky, but weirdly enough does feature a bigger camera bump. Otterbox is probably the least consistent brand I know. That can be a good thing and a bad thing. Good fit, and other than MagSafe, nothing to complain. D tier. The Strata bookcase has some features which make it worthwhile, like the closing clasps, which isn't in the way of MagSafe since it's located at the front. One of the biggest downsides of the Nomad bookcase is that very fact. So Otterbox did a good job here. Only 2 places for cards though, and no space behind it. It does have a speaker cutout, which makes it ideal to make calls without looking weird. You will always see boomers struggling with this, so if only they knew. B tier. Oh, and I forgot about the React. I'll put that in E tier since it doesn't have MagSafe. Pitaka. This year they got a little left behind by Benks. Still very good cases though. But in comparison with Benks, especially the Mag Easy 4 just isn't a match. Its fit is horrible, or very good. It's all in perspective. If you measure the fit on if it's never coming off, then this one is S tier. But in my view, it's horrible. The camera bump is also not as good looking. I must say that the aramid fiber feels very soft and premium though. But if you move this case around or pinch it in, you will hear all kinds of cracks happening. Something that isn't present on the Benks cases. MagSafe is very good though. D tier. The bigger brother called the Mag Easy 4 Pro did much better. But MagSafe is not as good here. The fit is excellent. The case feels very strong. Same soft feeling aramid and very tactile clicky buttons. and also a good front bezel. All in all, a premium rugged case. A tier. Ringke, the most affordable brand when it comes to cases. This year, even better, especially with the Fusion X, because now it comes with MagSafe too. The camera bump also looks great with that closed design. In the past, I've been pasting MagSafe rings on there and dragged it through time to still use it. But now I won't have to anymore. With awesome protection and features, the X is still one of my favorites. A tier. The silicone cases are still awesome too. They feel very soft to touch and they are also very grippy too. Tactile buttons, awesome fit, and good front protection. I heard some complaints about discoloring, though I haven't experienced that myself, so I cannot confirm yet. Been using it on and off for about 2 months now. Check out the comments for more info on that. For now though, a deserved A tier. The Onyx is also very good. Grippy texture and good fit. Dotted pattern on the sides which makes for extra grip. And the sides are also tailored, so they feel comfortable, and at only $16.99, this case is more than affordable. It feels a little cheaper than the other ones though, so for that, C tier. The Air case just isn't good enough. There isn't enough protection here because it's too flexible, and it feels just like another clear case. E tier. The Fusion Bolt is awesome, and it's night and day compared to the Air case. Very strong and looks good while doing it. The sides are exactly the same here too, so more of the same. The buttons should be textured though, so there is always something I would complain about. Oh, and get them with MagSafe. That's of course a necessity. C tier. Gear 4 is up next, and I've seen 3 of their models this year. The Denali Snap looks amazing. The design on the back has been one of my favorites over the years. The kickstand has been very good too, and this is not one of those cheap kickstands, and has a good click to it as well. Feels durable. What isn't though is the paste-in MagSafe ring on the inside, which by the way, the inside looks amazing with that design going on there. But I was ready to forgive them until I experienced just how weak these magnets really are. These are definitely not for anything special and are only good enough to support basic function, like laying it on top of a wireless charging puck. The camera bump looks very unique though, and therefore I can conclude that the design department did its job. It does have tactile buttons, except the action button. Sorry, I hate to do it, but you belong in D tier. The Luck Snap also looks very cool, with a new design on the back. Unfortunately though, same action button issue and the same MagSafe strength issue too. The front bezel is a lot thicker, which is a good thing, but can make the case look bulky too. Good front protection, which doesn't swell up like the Denali. And while the Denali has a little rounding to it, the Luck Snap feels a little boxy, in a good way. D tier. The roundness of the case is increased even more with the Crystal Palace, which makes for an excellent grip. Other than that though, it's pretty much the same story. The front bezel is decreased, which is not good. And the fit, just like the others, gives it its final blow, because it's just horrible. E tier. Now if you haven't seen my top 10 or top 5 videos, make sure to do so, because Magbak has been scoring very high, and that's for good reason. It comes with a magnet strip, which can be used as a car holder for example. And if you're really invested in the ecosystem, you can even switch that for the car holder itself. Which is also amazing because of the added magnets in the Magbak cases, which will make sure it's secured in tightly. The fit on the Magbak cases is also top tier, which gives a good click when you secure them, but are also easy to remove if you wanted to. Nice front bezel, good corner protection, and all while feeling like a minimal case. I just love Magbak. S tier for sure. If you're still watching, thank you so much. These videos can be quite long, so if you're still there, that means the world to me. Let's move on. I also got to take a look at the BlackBrook Berkeley wallet case, a bookcase with a detachable inner case. Now, these are obviously genuine leather, and they're going for that genuine look too. Even though we're fined, they definitely wanted that rough look. That's something you can find in the corners, where normally leather cases are a very thin layer of leather. But these are just folded up like you would expect with real leather. You can also find it in the camera bump, which is just cut out of the leather. It makes for a very unique look, which I can dig a lot. The fit gets better the more you use it, and that's why I haven't reviewed this one yet, since I wanted to give it a fair shot. At first, the fit is very tight and almost off by a little, but the more you use it, the leather will fit better and better around the phone. I also love the fact that it has 4 card spots and a spot behind that for cash. The inner case has MagSafe, which is good, and the magnets on the outer shell are strong enough too. B tier. A new brand for me this year were the Aulumu cases. I've seen 3 of their variants, the clear case, the vegan leather ones, and the semi-translucent one. All very unique and awesome designs. Yet the clear case, because it's so strong without the flexible sides, is a pain to remove from the phone. And here, the camera bump is also a little loose. And it does make a funny sound because of it. Like I said in my dedicated video though, it does sound premium, not rattly or anything. Other than that though, great case, D tier. The vegan leather cases look very cool too, and the fit is excellent here. It features those unique design elements with the cooling holes and their overall tech vibe. The case feels very refined because of it, especially the camera bump, which is shaped towards it, rather than having it pasted on there. The volume buttons and action button are relatively clicky, but at a like 6 out of 10, so the clickiness could be improved for extra satisfaction. The inner case has a foam-like material, which is also unique, and I have never seen this before. The buttons are made from aluminium, and it helps to feel the case more expensive, especially in combination with that kickstand, which is also a knife and a fidget toy. This feels like a killer combination. B tier. And finally, the semi-translucent. As far as the design goes, this one has the most detail and belongs in my favorites. It just looks stunning. It has design on both sides, which make the optical illusion of a 3D print. And once again with the cooling slits and even the sides. It just looks so beautiful. Easy to slap on the phone and easy to remove. The case feels grippier than the clear case, and even though the case still feels strong, this one definitely has those softer sides. Front lip is very good for a minimalist case, and even with the screen protector on there, it's still very much visible. A tier. The Mujjo case, a full grain leather case, and this case definitely feels premium. It's also a very comfortable case to hold, and that leather increases the grip by a ton too. I also love what they did with the camera bump, which is now more prominent. And it looks like a good, strong one instead of those tiny camera bumps they usually throw at leather cases. Even though bigger, it still maintains that sleek look. The inner has a nice microfiber cloth, so no complaints there. Sadly, even though the case is easy to install, to get it off is actually very difficult. On par with one of the harder to remove cases mentioned in this video already. And I hate that. And where some sacrifice this feature for a better fit, I don't have the added security here at all. It does not have a nice click to the fit, and it feels like you have to keep pushing in order to achieve that. So the fit is its biggest downside. Adding to that, the buttons aren't clicky either, and make it feel like you have to press harder than without a case. So much potential, and I still like what they're doing, but this year I can't put them higher than D tier. Finally, UAG. The Monarch Pro feels and looks awesome. It will protect the phone, and that's probably an understatement. Sadly though, the MagSafe strength is just too weak for my taste. I therefore cannot recommend these for MagSafe users, which is a shame because everything else about this case is awesome. The fit, the buttons, and even the front protection. The only other downside I could come up with is the fact that they have a cutout for the action button, which I've heard they've already fixed. D tier. The Plio case is awesome, especially the blackout version, since they won't yellow over time. On the clear case, you can clearly see how much extra protection is on the corners here, which will ensure you'll never have to worry about dropping these. Front protection is awesome, clicky buttons, and even though it features a minimal camera bump, it's still more than enough. The only downside is that they previously had a better fit. At least you will have a decent MagSafe strength with this one. C tier. The Pathfinder feels like a cheaped out Monarch Pro. It has less grip, feels more plasticky, but yet it still looks awesome nonetheless. MagSafe is just as bad though. So because of that fact and the fact that it's a cheapy Monarch Pro, I can't find a better spot for it than E tier. The Civilian, once my favorite, now a cheapy version of what once was a glorious case. MagSafe is of course just as bad. The buttons are very clicky here though, and I still love the color scheme. Not enough to secure a good spot on my list. E tier. And finally, the Essential Armor. For some reason, with the Plio, the only UAG cases with usable MagSafe. So that's good. On the front, it looks exactly the same as the Pathfinder, but noticeably different on the back. I like the sleek design here too, but still with those tactile cool details. I only wish that it wasn't that cheap feeling plastic. D tier. And that's a wrap. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, since these tier list videos take up many hours of my time. And if you don't agree with one of my choices, let me know in the comments.